We'll start this film review with 12:04 to go in the first quarter. It's a 0-0 game, and the Chiefs have 1st and 10 at their 22-yard line. Start out under center with 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Mahomes fakes a handoff, drops back, runs up, and throws a pass to the right to Tyquan Thornton, complete for a first down up to the 47-yard line, approximately 25-yard gain. So let's go through what happened on this play. The Chiefs are coming out in 12 personnel, so heavier than what they normally do. 12 personnel just means 1 running back, 2 tight ends are Travis Kelce and Noah Gray. 1 running back and 2 tight ends is 12 personnel. The wide receivers are Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton. So what they're going to do on this play is they're just going to run Thornton up the middle of the field and to run a curl. Worthy is going to come up and run a curl as well. They're then going to get Noah Gray kind of running a wheel and Isaiah Pacheco coming out to the flat, and Travis Kelce is going to release late and come across the line of scrimmage. If you can see here, it starts out a little wonky looking, but the Jaguars are essentially just running a cover 2, and they're kind of running a Tampa 2. So you see they've got 2 deep safeties. This linebacker is kind of that Tampa runner up the middle. You see him with Thornton's route. He'll come and try to fill the middle of the field. And then they've got their underneath defenders and their rushing 4. I think the rusher on this side, which looks like Josh Hines-Allen, he notices the Chiefs tend to use this kind of look a lot where they bring out, a blocker, the lineman, the running back for like a swing. So he seems interested in that, and he's coming over there. But ultimately, the Jaguars kind of have everything fairly well handled in the zone, except that Mahomes has enough time and space to step up. And Mahomes is known for using his movement to get zone defenders to move. So he comes up, and then look at the response. Defenders start collapsing. Suddenly that gap between the underneath defenders and the second level increases. And as he's coming up, he notices that there's a huge void here to the side of Tyquan Thornton. And I think this was really underrated at how, look at the way he's moving. He's running diagonally up toward his left in this direction. And while he's doing that, is able to throw the ball over here. I mean, that's pretty awesome. He throws it over this way, gets it to Thornton, who gets a big gain. I mean, that's pretty cool out of Mahomes. See it here, the play action, and see how they got the window dressing, the action over here on the left. They've really enjoyed that swing action this year and running variations of things off of it. Mahomes drops back. He's actually looking for Worthy left first. If you see his eyes, he's looking left for Worthy. That gap, though, is pretty small. So, Worthy, while he's looking over for Worthy, this is where Worthy is right here. This is a very tight window to throw at that kind of distance to. You'd really have to put the ball in a spot because he is completely surrounded here. So Mahomes doesn't like to throw. He's got room to run, and then that's when he finds the throw to Thornton. So if you look at it here, he's looking for Worthy. He's got room to run. Defenders collapse, and look at his body position. He's going this way, and he fires it to the right down the field. I mean, that's a really phenomenal throw. Great catch by Thornton. Big first down. We moved to 5:26 to go in the first quarter. Still a 0-0 game, and the Chiefs have a 3rd and 9 on the Jaguars, about 37-yard line or so. Patrick Mahomes is in shotgun. He's got 3 to the left, 1 to his right. Changes the play at the line of scrimmage. Travis Kelce moves over to the right. Mahomes takes the snap, faces a blitz, and just launches one down the left side that's completed to Tyquan Thornton. back down to about the 6-yard line for first and goal. So, what's going on the play here? So you see Mahomes checking based on the coverage. One kind of early sign is based on the depth. Like, everybody's playing off here. That makes you feel like it's a heavy pressure. You know, everybody's playing off. It's third down. Nobody wants to get beat deep here. You've got one safety in the middle of the field, so you think that they're coming. What the Jaguars end up doing is they run a 5-man pressure, but if you notice, they've got 7 here lined up. So what they end up doing is they drop 2 defensive linemen right here. Then they rush Hines Allen, and then they get an overload blitz. Actually, I can't see if that's Hines Allen over there. I'm not sure. I think that is the whole. Here's an overload blitz from this side. So they got 4 coming from this side, only 1 from this side. And with these guys dropping out, they end up getting Kingsley and Creed to block air, essentially. So they really confuse the Chiefs' protection. What the Chiefs are doing route-wise, they've got Hollywood Brown coming on a crosser. They've got Xavier Worthy coming on a crosser the other way. Tyquan Thornton is just going deep, and Travis Kelce is going to release late. So Mahomes takes the snap. He knows where he has to go. He knows what's happening. The only error in this play is that Kareem Hunt blocks the wrong guy. Kareem Hunt should be taking the inside-most guy with the most direct path. Leave the guy on the outside free. Instead, Kareem goes to get the guy on the outside, which means that Mahomes cannot step into this throw. I mean, he's basically getting hit as he throws it. So he just has to throw this, like it's like literally throwing up a prayer and just get everything he can on it. If Hunt blocks this guy and that buys Mahomes a little more time, this is a touchdown. Like, Thornton's going to beat his guy. If Mahomes has the time to get it out in front of Thornton, this is a touchdown. But unfortunately, since he got hit, he's not able to step into the throw. The throw falls short. Thornton does a great job adjusting the ball. It's a big first down. Talked about this a lot over the last couple years, a lot in my film review last year. Being a good deep ball thrower is largely dependent on your receivers being able to track balls. This throw is understandably well underthrown because Mahomes was facing the pressure. He wasn't able to step into it. He got hit as he threw. Thornton's ability to adjust to this, come back and get it, makes this a completion. Mahomes often did not have receivers that were doing that for him in the last couple years, so this has been a huge development. Thornton's development and, of course, Worthy's development we saw in the Ravens game. But again, see, the Jaguars here completely get the Chiefs' protection because Hines Allen's out wide. These 2 guys are going to drop off, but the Chiefs have to account for them. So Creed and Kingsley are accounting for those 2. Then they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 over here. One of them is going to come free. And as 42 comes through, this is the guy that Hunt should take. Hunt should be blocking 42 and let 29 come free. Instead, Hunt goes out to 29. 42 is able to get that clear shot on Mahomes, and he's not able to get anything on this throw. If Hunt had got 42, Mahomes likely has time to step in or the ability to at least get into that throw, and he probably throws a touchdown here. In any case, big play to Thornton, big first down for the Chiefs. There were 2 plays in the Chiefs-Jaguars game that were not called pass interference, and both of them ended up becoming controversial because of the opinions of the ESPN broadcast booth, and particularly because of the opinion of rules analyst Russell Yerk. Let's see what happened on those 2 plays and see if we can figure out what had the ESPN broadcast booth so up in arms. We're going to start in the first quarter with 4:07 to go. It's a 0-0 game, and the Chiefs have a 3rd and goal at the Jaguars' 2-yard line. Mahomes is in the shotgun. He's got Noah Gray to his left, and he's got 3 to his right with Kareem Hunt in the backfield. He sprints right, throws a pass to Kelsey, who catches it for a touchdown. So what the controversy was here on this play, if you're going to watch, is the Chiefs run a pick route. They're going to have Juju Smith-Schuster come in to pick off Kelsey's defender. Kelsey's going to leak to the flat. And if you see here comes Juju to pick off Kelsey. Kelsey comes out into the flat and scores a touchdown. Now, what the controversy was here on this play, aided by the fact that initially a flag was thrown before it was picked up by the officials, is that you are allowed to block within a yard of the line of scrimmage. So within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, any contact, regardless of whether a pass is thrown, is not going to be pass interference. And so the question arose, was this within a yard of the line of scrimmage? If you see where the ball is snapped, the Chiefs have the ball at the 2-yard line. And so we're looking here at the 1 yard marker. You see Juju Smith-Schuster come, plant, and set a pick. And his feet, even by the admission of Russell York, he's about a yard right there at the 1 yard marker. What Russell York's argument was that the actual contact he felt like happened more than a yard from the line of scrimmage. Honestly, that's quite hard to say from this. First of all, we're not looking straight down the line of scrimmage, and neither was he when he was making this determination. So if you're going to try to extrapolate the line based on the angle here, it's going to be really hard to tell from your vantage point. We're looking at somewhere around here, whether from this angle, whether that happened within a yard or not. I mean, this is really, really tight. And the thing that bothers me about this play is not that some people can disagree and say that they thought maybe it's past a yard. It's that Russell York or anybody can be definitive that they think this is pass interference. I mean, this is right at the line. Like, is it possible he's a couple inches, maybe a foot or two over? Yeah. Is there any way to say that from the broadcast or from the All-22 tape that it gives us this angle? No. So I have no idea why everybody is up in arms as if this was so obviously a penalty. And is this what we want from the NFL? That if something is like really, really close and hard to tell, we want the default to be that they throw a flag? The analysis of this just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I don't understand how a rule analyst in this situation can be so definitive. He's, by the rule analyst's own admission, he said his feet are planted right there. Is there a little bit of a lean? Yeah, but like, are you sure that that's more than a yard? And if you're not sure, you want a flag to be thrown then? Like, you think that's the right way to handle this? I don't know. I just honestly feel like it's almost bordering on irresponsible for the rules analyst to be so definitive here. Now, you'll see from the end zone cam, then it's really hard to tell, right, the depth. I don't know. I don't understand why in a national broadcast you would be this definitive that you feel like it's clear that this is pass interference, where we're trying to judge something looking from an angle over here, trying to judge if, like, where exactly that 1 yard mark. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. I don't understand. Well, I do understand, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, why Russell York and why people on these broadcasts are so definitive, but to me it's irresponsible. To me it doesn't make any sense. You can have the opinion that this may or may not be pass interference, but if you think you're sure either way, I don't know what to tell you. I think you're just kind of confirming your priors or just trying to start controversy. Now let's move to the next play. We are now in the fourth quarter, 13-12 to go in the fourth. The Jaguars are up 21-14, and they have a 2nd and 7 at their own 15-yard line. Trevor Lawrence has 2 receivers to his left. He's got a receiver and tight end to his right, a running back in the backfield out of a shotgun. He takes the snap, drops back, throws, and it's intercepted by Trent McDuffie. The Chiefs get the ball back and a much-needed turnover. So, what was the issue on this play that drew people up in arms? It was the collision right here between Jaden Hicks and Washington. So let's take a look at this play. The Jaguars are running a slant flat concept. So they've got Washington running a slant, and they've got a flat route here by the tight end. Now, typically, as Kurt Warner mentioned on Twitter, when you have the slant in press and you have off coverage on the flat route, the move for the quarterback is to throw the flat, because the jam, the press, tight coverage on the slant with the off coverage here, with the two of them running past each other, it creates a pick, and so it makes it more likely that this flat is going to come open, as happened, right? If Trevor Lawrence throws this to the flat, he's got a natural pick set up here. Like, this is and if he had thrown this to the flat, all Jaguars fans and people who, were interested in the Jaguars winning this game would be calling this incidental contact, because you have a receiver trying to run his route and a defender trying to get past the receiver to cover his man, right? And it honestly kind of looks like Washington is trying to set up a pick. Like, look at him square up here. He squares up right there. I mean, if anyone is trying to sidestep, watch Jaden Hicks's movement right here with his feet at the end. He looks like he's trying to move to his right and get around, and you'd kind of expect the receiver to do the same thing in order to avoid an offensive pass interference call. Like, this is what it kind of looks like. It looks like he's trying to set a pick. And a point that Ben Baldwin also made on this is that the contact, I mean, it's really close, but Ben Baldwin was trying to argue that the contact happened before the ball was thrown. I feel like it's really bang on that one. It's kind of hard to be sure. But if that is the case, this is within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, and so that would actually be legal contact. In any case, the rule in NFL operations states that if you have incidental contact when both players are competing for the ball or neither player is looking for the ball, to me, this is very clearly a case where neither player is trying to make a play on the ball here, right? Like, Washington, if anything, he's either running his route or trying to set a pick. And Jaden Hicks is trying to get over to his man. And they kind of like play a game of chicken and end up running right into each other. Hicks, at the last minute, to me, very clearly is trying to sidestep here. And the added bit here that I think is very important on this rule is it says, and this is right from the NFL rulebook, it says, if there's any question whether the contact is incidental, the ruling shall be no interference. And again, to me, this is a situation where it is unclear enough that I don't understand how one can definitively say that this was an attempt to prevent the player from making the catch. In this situation, if you're a defender, I don't think that you think Trevor Lawrence is going to throw the ball to this guy. I mean, this is who Jaden Hicks thinks that the ball is going to be thrown to. I think this is why he's trying to get around and get to the tight end, because from Hicks's perspective, like, he's open. They've set a pick. They got him off his man. And then the part of this play that's hardest for me to understand is, why did Trevor Lawrence throw the slant? Like, where... Like, as he's making his decision to throw right here, this is what he's seeing. Maybe he thinks that Hicks is going to get around him, but I don't know. Like, the flat is the throw here. You have off coverage. You have a natural pick coming in. The pick ended up happening, and it resulted in an interception. I feel like this is a good no call. Like, you had two guys running into each other. It wasn't clear that one is making an attempt. I don't think either of these guys honestly thought that that the ball was going to Washington. I don't think Washington thought the ball was going to get to him, being thrown to him. That's why he squared up. That's why he made like he's setting a pick. Neither of these guys thinks the ball is coming to him. Neither of them is playing the ball. To me, this appears to be incidental contact, where especially Hicks is trying to get out of the way. I think it's a good no call. And like the rule book says, if there's any doubt, one shouldn't call interference. So it makes this response or this analysis by Russell York very confusing. Let's take a listen. Now, again, I just can't understand, just like the first play, I don't understand how the rules analyst Russell York can be so definitive here. Like, this to me looks very much, again, as you watch it, watch Jaden Hicks from here, like Hicks is trying to avoid the pick, slide by him. It doesn't look at all like Washington thinks that this play is coming to him. He looks like he's trying to set a pick. And as the rule book states, if there's incidental contact, when neither player is looking for the ball, which I feel like, again, is fairly clearly, it seems like both players are trying to get to their spot, then this is not pass interference. And if there is any question whether contact is incidental, the ruling shall be no interference. That's a direct quote from the rule book. So at the very least, I feel like as a rules analyst, you'd say like, it's a little bit of a gray area. It's not very clear. Like, if they had called this pass interference, like, can you see it? Like, yeah, I guess. Like, they ran into each other. It doesn't look great. But you can understand, like, this is a guy in man coverage on the tight end. This is a route that's coming in underneath as he's trying to go. It looks like he's trying to get, the offensive player is trying to pick him. And he does try to sidestep at the end. Like, I feel like I don't understand. Well, and like I said on the first one, I do understand. Like, I really think it's as simple as that. Official controversy with the Chiefs sells. And I think in general, criticizing the officials sells. And I think that's all it is. Like, I think it's not as fun for people to be honest and be like, these are really close calls and I can understand one having one opinion or one having another. But ultimately, like, the refs viewed this as incidental because both guys are trying to get to their spot. He's trying to run his slant. He's trying to get to the tight end. And they ran into each other within 5 yards, pretty close to when the ball was released. Like, it's possible the ref viewed that as before the ball was thrown. Like, I can understand why that call is being made. That doesn't sell as much as that was a huge missed call. Look at it favoring the Chiefs. And I think that's all it is. I think that, unfortunately, like, this is the level that analysis has come to now, whereas instead of trying to understand the right answer or try to get things right, people are just trying to say what sells. And ultimately, it just doesn't make for a good viewing experience because the viewers just look at it like, oh, things are corrupt or things are messed up. And to me, both of these non-calls are very explainable. And it's just unfortunate that we don't have analysts that are able to explain this properly to fans so they can appreciate the game. We pick things up with 14:21 to go in the second quarter. The Chiefs are up 7-0, and the Jaguars have a 3rd and goal at the 3-yard line. Trevor Lawrence is in shotgun. He's got 3 to the left, 2 to the right. Then Etienne motions back across. He runs a sweep to the right and is knocked out of bounds just before the goal line. Not able to get in the end zone, bringing up 4th down. So the Jaguars are trying to create a misdirection here. They're running Etienne on the sweep. And then they are going to get blockers out in front. They're pulling the right tackle in the center to try to get out in front of Lawrence. They try to cut Chris Jones here, and they leave Karlaftis free on the backside. So here they come. Here's the convoy, the tackle and center to try to lead Lawrence. And just look at Jaden Hicks. Watch him from the start here. He's here at the goal line, and he just shoots down the line of scrimmage, takes a nice angle, and then this hit is so important because he's got to hit him hard enough that he can't lunge toward the end zone. His momentum has to carry him out of bounds. Look at that hit. This is a great play from Jaden Hicks, just flying downhill, reminiscent of Justin Reed here on this play. Identifies it quickly, knows what he needs, downhill, boom. Great hit. Brings up 4th down and forces the Jaguars to go for it. Again, from this angle, they're going to pull the tackle, they're going to pull the center, and then they have a convoy in front of Lawrence as he goes. Look at Hicks right here. He's going to ID the play, and then just look at him get on his horse, take a great angle, and make that hit before there's any chance for Lawrence to get in the end zone. We jump ahead to the very next play. So the Jaguars now have 4th and goal right on the 1-yard line, down 7-0. Trevor Lawrence is under center. Got a big package here. They motion the tight end. He tries to sneak over the middle, and it's knocked out. Fumble recovered by George Karlaftis. And really, this is just an incredible job by Nick Bolton. I mean, in general, the line did a great job of staying stout. Trevor Lawrence attempted what I know Jeff Schwartz online called it the Drew Brees sneak. You know, those of you that remember Drew Brees playing, he used to always jump and just try to put the ball over the line from the 1-yard line. Lawrence tried it, and look at Bolton is just ready for it. Nick Bolton sees it, immediately goes for the ball. He's not even thinking twice. I wonder if he had seen this on film, like he knew it was coming, because he reacts so quickly, goes right for the ball, and knocks it out. I mean, incredibly heads-up play. And this is the kind of thing that, you know, for all the complaints that people have against Nick Bolton, this is the kind of play that he can make, you know, just being absolutely on top of everything, anticipating what was going to happen, and knocking that ball out. You see it again here. I mean, Bolton is just right there. He's ready for it. Just knocks it right out. Karlaftis recovers. That was a big turnover in that moment for the Chiefs. We jump ahead to 11:35 to go in the second quarter. Chiefs are up 7-0, and they have a 1st and 10 at the Jaguars' 43-yard line. Mahomes is in shotgun. He's got 3 to his right, 1 to his left. Brashard Smith is in the backfield with him. He sends Worthy in motion over to the left. He takes the snap, looks deep, then tries to escape to the right and throws deep down the right side to Tyquan Thornton, who gets pushed out of bounds somewhere around the 9-yard line. All right, so what have we got going on in this play? So the Chiefs line up here in 11 personnel. They've got 1 running back, Brashard Smith, 1 tight end, that's Noah Gray. They end up motioning Worthy over to the left, and they're going to run this route combination where they have Brashard Smith coming, Tyquan Thornton on a deep over. Xavier Worthy is going to follow, and then Brashard Smith is going to come out down the sideline behind. And watch as this develops here. So they roll Mahomes to the right, and they pull the Kingsley, the guard, over here to try to give him added protection. So this is really a shot play. He looks to be looking to Worthy, and if you notice him directing traffic here, what he wants is he wants Worthy to take this route and run it to the pylon. Because there's 1 safety in the middle of the field. Thornton is dragging coverage this way. So his hope is that Worthy is going to take it there, and that should lead to a big shot play for a touchdown. Ultimately, Worthy doesn't completely, he turns this upfield a little late, and by that time, as he's turning it out, Mahomes feels the pressure and bails to his right. As Worthy makes that turn, then, it takes the safety back. You see the safety coming over here. And the receiver, or the defender that was running with Thornton over there, kind of takes a deeper drop to replace the safety as the safety kind of moves out over here. So he comes out to try to cap things over the top. And Thornton does a good job just continuing over into open space. So this is an extremely useful skill, very important skill, especially playing with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, is as things start to break down and the second play begins, find yourself some room in the zone. Find yourself some open space, especially downfield. And Mahomes, when he breaks contain, sees Thornton, throws it out there, and the Chiefs get a big gain. But it certainly looks like what he initially was hoping was that they'd be on the same page, him and Worthy would break this and allow for a big play. But Worthy didn't start turning it out until very late in the route, and then he pulled it back as Mahomes was scrambling. Still enough, good job by Thornton finding that open area. He's proving trustworthy in more ways than just like tracking balls deep. He's actually able to find gaps in the zone, which will prove very useful. As Juju Smith-Schuster has proved, it can get you a lot of playing time with Mahomes. So as you see here, they fake the handoff and pull the guard. This is a shot play. Mahomes didn't like it. You can see him there. That's where he's directing Worthy. Hey, go to the corner. Then as the pocket collapses, he escapes, finds Thornton deep. Big play for a big first down. The Chiefs played an undisciplined game against the Jaguars on Monday Night Football. They made several mistakes, and removing any one of them could have possibly resulted in a different outcome of the game. So let's take a look at several of these mistakes that happened throughout the game. We're going to start in the second quarter with 9 minutes left. The Chiefs are up 14-0 at this point, and they have the Jaguars on their heels with a 3rd and 15 at their own 25-yard line. Trevor Lawrence lines up with 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right in the shotgun. He takes a snap and drops back. Under pressure, he steps up and throws over to his right. It's an incomplete pass to Brian Thomas Jr., but a flag comes out for pass interference, giving the Jaguars a new set of downs. So let's see what happened on this play. To start, the Jaguars look like they're lined up in 11 personnel. This looks to be a tight end, and this is a running back. When you're 1 running back, 1 tight end, that's 11 personnel. And the way the Chiefs have decided to cover this is actually in their, looks like this is a dime package. Dime package essentially meaning that there are 6 defensive backs on the field. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this isn't a typical dime, which would have 4 down linemen and 1 linebacker. This actually has 3 down linemen. Leo Chanel is a linebacker and Nick Bolton's a linebacker. So it's like a 3-2-6 dime. Very interesting. They often use Chanel as a spy in these situations. And so what they end up doing coverage-wise is they're playing a man match, basically a variation of quarters. And how it sets up is essentially Noel Williams is going to have the 1 wide receiver. Then you've got the 2 covered here. Shamari Connor is going to be responsible for the flat. And on this side, it's essentially man on this side because Jaden Hicks is going to do what the Eagles did a lot in their quarters against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Since this is a strong formation with 3 receivers on this side, Jaden Hicks is actually going to cheat over here and help to wall off routes coming this way. So he's not going to help over here. He essentially kind of leaves Jalen Watson on an island against Brian Thomas Jr., and he helps on the inside. And Watson, with the Chiefs trust him to be able to man up over here. You can see as the route combinations come, you see he's topping the second, he's topping the first. We have deep safety, and Hicks, instead of playing another deep safety out here, is essentially just walling off any crossers that could come from that side. Jalen Watson is then going to be left one-on-one with Brian Thomas Jr., and Watson on this situation is trying not to get beaten outside. You can see him with his outside leverage. Brian Thomas Jr. is going to drive his route inside, and it's a really good route run by him because he's playing against a defender who essentially is trying not to get beaten outside. Watson knows that he's got help in the middle of the field, and he doesn't have any help to the outside. And so he's going to be tough to beat the way that he's playing his leverage out here. And Thomas does a really good job of driving him to the middle and then cutting hard here. Look at how he cuts and wrong foots Watson, who's now just scrambling to try to get back. So, first of all, just a really good route from Brian Thomas Jr. to get open. Now, I don't know why Thomas kind of stops his feet here, because Lawrence clearly expects him to keep going. Thomas stops his feet. Lawrence expects him to keep going, and the throw ends up being far wide of the target. You'll actually be able to see how much this throw was off. It was really uncatchable in this situation. It's hard to see from the sideline view, but we'll see from the end zone. So really, first of all, great job by Thomas, but I honestly don't know why he stopped his feet right here. This could have completely torpedoed the play. Lawrence rightfully, since there's nobody out there, expects Thomas to just keep going. But Thomas stops his feet, and luckily for him, it wrong foots Jalen Watson, who slips. And Watson, in slipping, then just takes down Thomas and gets called for pass interference. It's really unfortunate. If Watson doesn't lose his footing here, this is an incomplete pass and the Jaguars have to punt. Watson slips and honestly doesn't look like he's able to control. It doesn't seem like he's trying to take down Thomas. He just falls right into him. I mean, the official has to call pass interference on this. Just a really unfortunate beginning to what would be many, many errors from the Chiefs. So if we watch it from the end zone view, we see Lawrence, he throws it out here. And you can see how, this ball lands. This was not going to be a catchable pass. Now, I don't mean that to be criticizing the referees, because as we know in the NFL, they're very, very liberal with their definition of catchable pass when it comes to pass interference. So I fully expect the official to throw a flag on this play. Anything that's in the general zip code, they call pass interference. They'll call it a catchable pass because it's kind of hard to tell when someone gets taken down, how far they would have been able to go. I don't know that he would have been able to get this one, but I expect in this situation an official to call this a catchable pass 10 out of 10 times. But it's really just unfortunate for the Chiefs. If he kept running, he probably catches this ball, but he stops. It makes Watson slip, and the slip bails Thomas out. Because really, this is just a bad decision by Brian Thomas Jr. He should have been running through this. He would have caught Lawrence's pass on the run, and maybe he would have been able to, there's a deep safety back here, Brian Cook, but he could have made it really interesting. But from the Chiefs' perspective, if Watson doesn't slip here when he stops, they get off the field. Unfortunately, they can't get off the field, and the drive keeps going. That's mistake number one. And we now jump ahead to 8:12 to go in the second quarter. We're on the same drive. Chiefs are up 14-0. And the Jaguars now have a 2nd and 9 at their own 39-yard line. Trevor Lawrence again in the shotgun. He's got 3 to his right this time, 1 to the left. He drops back to throw, doesn't see anyone, and runs straight up the middle, then evades Drew Tranquil, manages to get 16 yards on 2nd and 9 to get a first down. So this was the start of something that became a theme in this game, which was the Chiefs' inability to maintain enough rush lane discipline to keep Trevor Lawrence in the pocket. And it's particularly frustrating because this is something they did pretty well against Lamar Jackson last week, although they did have a lot of help with Leo Chenal playing a spy, which they used intermittently in this game, but not that much. So again, in this situation, the Jaguars are in 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end, gets you 11 personnel. And the Chiefs are in their nickel with 5 defensive backs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're actually not playing that complicated of a coverage here. This is essentially cover 1. They're going to have Brian Cook play the deep safety. Drew Tranquil ends up being the robber defender. And then they have everybody else is manned up in coverage. And then you'll say, well, it doesn't look like you get a quick drop from Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton is taking the tight end, but the tight end initially came in to block. So he's actually manned up on the tight end, but he drops back because the tight end helped to chip on Gelati and then release late. And Jaden Hicks gets the running back as he releases from the flat. So ultimately what happens is initially when they drop back, you have the middle of the field you have a presence here with Bolton and Hicks. But as they leave to vacate toward the flats, there isn't anybody just hanging in the middle. Drew Tranquil drops pretty deep in his underneath coverage, trying to help stay underneath these crossing routes. So he drops back, and the middle of the field ends up being a pretty big void. When the defense is designed like this, where you've got man coverage, you know that most of your defenders are going to vacate the area, and so you're not going to have a lot as far as deterrence for the quarterback to run the ball. So in those situations, it becomes extremely important that the defensive line all maintain what they call rush lane integrity. You know, you have to stay to your lane and not create any major gaps in order to make sure that the quarterback can't escape. And typically what happens is you'll see this work pretty well, actually. The Chiefs run like a pretty late stunt here. So what they do is Karlaftis looks like he's working on the tackle, and then he kind of helps a buddy out here, runs into the guard and center so Nadi can come around, and then Karlaftis knows that Nadi has come around. I have to come back and close this gap. And usually the Chiefs defensive line, at least often, they're able to play synchronously like this. But the combination of that play with Karlaftis trying to get back to the middle, and look at Tillery on this side, just completely loses the middle on his side and is not able to come close that gap. Against Lamar Jackson, the Chiefs were doing a good job of getting back, maintaining the ability to kind of two-gap, so that even if you're rushing to the outside, you have to leave enough opportunity for yourself to come back to the middle to close. And Karlaftis and Tillery both were too wide. One of them has got to be in close to deter this. This is just too big of a gap for a quarterback as athletic as Trevor Lawrence, especially when you're not running. If you're running like a zone defense, fine, because you have a bunch of people like sitting under here that are deterrents. This is when, as a defensive line, you can kind of go and have your fun. You have people behind you in case the quarterback breaks contain. There are other problems there too. Like if the people underneath end up like coming toward the quarterback, they're going to create bigger gaps, but yeah, so there's no perfect time where you can just abandon rush lanes, but at least you get it a little more. Here, you can't on man coverage. At least you have one robber, but had there been two deep safeties in man, then there's nothing you can do. So this is just poor by the Chiefs. You cannot let a gap like that for Trevor Lawrence to run through. And this, unfortunately, was the beginning of a much larger problem that persisted through the game. A lot of big downs here where Lawrence was able to get out. And now you can see it from the end zone game. And the big thing is watch how, Nadi comes around to try to loop. But look how wide everybody gets. So see, they're trying to get Nadi around. And Karlaftis does eventually come to close that gap a little late. But look at how far out Tillery has gotten, especially with that level of depth. If you kind of mush rush and you don't get a lot of depth on your rush, you can be a little wider because you have the time to get back when you see that the quarterback is scrambling. But look how deep and wide, you can't have the combination of depth and width. Then the quarterback look at this. It's a huge gap for him to run through. Like, this is just simply not the level of discipline that we saw them play with against Baltimore. And the line wasn't able to get it together on many of these crucial downs. And there you go on a 2nd and 9, after they've already given up the pass interference, another easy way for Lawrence to move the chains. We jump ahead to 6:04 to go in the second quarter. We're still on the same drive. Chiefs are up 14-0. Jaguars have a 1st and 10 at the Chiefs' 34-yard line. I feel like this is the play that's going to haunt the Chiefs. Well, there are a lot from this game, but this will be one of them. Trevor Lawrence is under center. He's got 3 to his right, 1 to his left. He's got the back behind him. Play action from under center. He throws left to Tim Patrick, who pops it in the air. McDuffie pops it up. Bolton tries to catch it. Tranquil tries to catch it, and it falls incomplete. Huge opportunity for the Chiefs to end this drive. And honestly, I think the thing that will be lost most from this is a phenomenal throw from Trevor Lawrence. So they're running a nice play action concept here, right? Where they're trying to leak Tim Patrick across and up. So he comes across the formation and he ends up like popping right through. And the Chiefs actually do a good job. Really, they're coming off of the play action and dropping back, and McDuffie does a good job getting depth with Brian Thomas Jr. and then passing him off to Connor. And so McDuffie's available there, and this is not like a hugely wide open throw, right? I mean, they do end up having three around. They've got over the top, but it's a great throw. Like, he settles this. It ends up going right in between the defenders, even though they're closing. I mean, this is right where this throw needed to be. Great throw from Trevor Lawrence. Patrick, I'm not really sure why he struggled with this so much, actually. Like, he put it on him. I mean, it's almost like the ball got on him quickly. Maybe he had trouble locating the ball or something, because this is a good throw. And he pops it right up. McDuffie isn't quite able to react quickly enough to it, but he does a good thing from a defender to pop it up in the air. And then Bolton is right there. Like, he bobbles it here. And honestly, I feel like, I mean, he's going to come down with this, but the part that's hard for me to understand, honestly, is how Tranquil didn't see Bolton. I guess Tranquil, if you look at him, he's so focused on the ball that he just didn't have the awareness. I mean, that's real tough from a guy as veteran as Tranquil is. Like, he's trying to make a play, but watch this from Lawrence again. This boot, it's a nice play call. I mean, this is a great throw. I honestly, I feel like Tim Patrick, for whatever reason, didn't see the ball until late. It's almost like it surprised him. But he's got his hand out calling for it. I mean, it's a good throw. McDuffie pops it up in the air, and this is Bolton's ball. Like, you can see, look at the angle of Tranquil's helmet that he's looking up for the ball. But, I mean, I know Bolton bobbled it once there, but if Tranquil doesn't hit him, Bolton catches this ball. And then Tranquil's unable to corral it. This is really unfortunate. I mean, you really would expect a guy as veteran as Drew Tranquil to have the awareness to stay out of the way if somebody's trying to make a play on the ball on your team. Friendly fire ended up causing the incompletion. I think he was just so focused on the ball that he didn't realize Bolton was there. It's really, really unfortunate. Another big mistake from the Chiefs defense. This would have gotten them off the field again, up 14-0. Gotten the offense the ball back. Pick things up with 5:09 to go in the second quarter. We're still on the same drive. Chiefs are up 14-0. Jaguars now have 3rd and 5 on the Chiefs' 29-yard line. Another opportunity to end this game. They've got 3 to the left and 1 to the right. Running back with Lawrence in the shotgun. He drops back to throw. Another gap to run. Runs up in the middle for a 14-yard gain and another first down on 3rd down to keep things going. And again, the Chiefs are in a pattern match coverage, if you see, and they are clearly matching with depth. So the only guys that are playing short, you've got Connor out here in the flat and Tranquil on the flat at this side. But look, everybody else is matching with depth. Look at Bolton turning and running deep to cover those crossers. Look at the depth in the middle of the field, and you have your guys in the flat. When you have a defense like this, you are relying on your line to keep the quarterback in the pocket. There are not reinforcements in the middle of the field, especially if you let him break up the middle. You're not going to be able to stop him from getting a first down on 3rd and 5. And the Chiefs' plan looks better here, right? Last time they had, Tillery coming out, they had Nadi going out, and Karlaftis did try to come and replace, but there was a huge gap naturally created. This time the plan is better. Amenahue is rushing inside, but look at the replacement here. See, we've got replacement to the outside. So we're filling the gap from Omenihu. And as Omenihu comes across inside, Chris Jones is supposed to fill. So really, you're trying to get everybody still containing. The big problem is that Chris Jones loses his position and loses his footing. And he gets knocked down, suddenly your contain is gone. In addition to that, Omenihu gets washed a little bit farther than he would like to. Now, it wouldn't matter if Chris Jones had been able to maintain his position. You know, Omenihu would have had an opportunity to try to solidify it. But when you get washed out too far and Chris Jones gets washed out and knocked down, suddenly there's a huge gap. And this is just confidence building for a quarterback that had been struggling against this defense, especially struggling to throw the ball. We've got these big plays where we're allowing him, you know, a pass interference call on a situation where there's a miscommunication with the receiver. We're allowing him these scrambles, which are a lot easier for him to execute than throwing the ball has been. But again, the Chiefs' defensive line being relied on to hold him in the pocket, something that they did really well against a much more mobile quarterback last week. And they really, really struggled again. This time it was really just Chris Jones being overpowered, which is not something you see very often. You can see it from this vantage point. I really liked the initial plan, like the way that they worked in concert. Omenihu came across, Gelati came and replaced. Chris Jones just not able to hold his position. I'm not sure what happened here, if he just got, or if he was trying to do too much. But he's trying to shed this block. I mean, at this point, too, you're not really looking for him to come in this direction. You want him to continue here, maybe a little bit over, but he gets washed all the way across, widening out this gap. And as you can see, Omenihu gets pushed out farther than he would have probably liked to as well. Huge gap left, easy for Lawrence to convert. Another big mistake by the Chiefs' defensive line. Pick things up with 2:38 to go in the second quarter. The Chiefs have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 35-yard line. They're up 14-7, trying to run a 2-minute drill to see if they can get points before the half. Patrick Mahomes is in the shotgun. He's got one to his right and trips to his left. Xavier Worthy comes across the formation in motion. He comes back across as Mahomes takes the snap. He pushes a little pop pass to Xavier Worthy, who's tackled for a 6-yard loss. All right. So what are the Chiefs doing on this play? So they're really trying to set up the pop pass similar to the end around that they ran with Worthy last week. And the way that it's set up is Worthy's going to come across in motion. Mahomes pops the ball to him before faking a handoff to the running back that looks like Pacheco right there. Yeah, that is Pacheco. Before handing it off to faking a handoff to the running back, they're going to have Josh Simmons and Creed Humphrey release to block, along with Kelsey and Juju. And the key person on this play is Josh Hines-Allen, who is unblocked off the edge. So there needs to be enough eye candy here to stop Josh Hines-Allen from just flying straight into the backfield. Because if he goes straight into the backfield, which he did, this play is completely blown up. This is what this entire play hinges on. If he's out of the picture, look at what the Chiefs have set up. They've got Kelsey, Juju, Creed, Simmons is coming for this defender. I mean, this Worthy might score here. If everybody hits their blocks, Worthy, with the chance to outrun the angles from these guys, he might score. But the entire play is predicated on Josh Hines-Allen not being able to blow things up. And I honestly don't love the pop pass on an unblocked situation where the guys that's unblocked is coming right towards you, because he can see the ball. Like, part of what puts this defender in conflict and prevents him from running up the field is he's not 100% sure where the ball is. He thinks you might be handing it off. He's unsure what's going on, but you don't even get to do the fake action. The ball pops right up in the air right in his line of vision. Like, he's not going to pay attention to the play action after that. Like, you see it, it's right there. And he just goes right after Worthy. I mean, part of it is this is just a great play by a guy who was decisive and went, but I don't really understand the pop pass in this situation. I feel like a handoff is a lot better here, or maybe even just a direct snap is pretty tough, with him coming across, but a handoff just to make it easier to sell that there could be something going the other way, because he needs to at least have some doubt that the play could be going that way. If he doesn't believe at all that this is going that way, or that, he needs to rush the pass or anything other than Worthy having the ball. But when all of your eye candy comes after you toss it straight up in the air, there's no hiding that ball. He can see it, and he drove on it. That's the only... I know a lot of people were like, well, the offense had looked so good before this. The drop-back passing game was so good. Why did they run this play? I don't have a problem with them running a sweep. When they execute it well, it can, like this one really could have gone. But I don't really understand the kind of unblocked player plus pop pass combination where the ball is just hanging in the air. But when you've got a guy unblocked, part of it is the deception. You have to have something there that is making him hesitate. And when he can just see the ball, I don't see any reason for him to hesitate. You see it from the end zone view. Mahomes just tosses it right up, and Hines Allen has no doubt. He just sees it and pounces on it. I didn't really understand, that method of getting him the ball in that situation with an unblocked player that he's running toward. In any case, it stalled this chance at a 2-minute drive to try to flip things after the Chiefs had committed a ton of mistakes to let them come down and score and make it a game again. They weren't able to get their offense going and ended up having to go into the half. We picked things up with 8:47 to go in the third quarter. Chiefs are still up 14-10, but the Jaguars have a 2nd and 8 at the Chiefs' 10-yard line. Trevor Lawrence is in the shotgun. He's got 3 to his right, 1 to his left, and Tootin in the backfield with him. He takes a snap, drops back, and again has a massive gap up the middle, is able to run through it, break a tackle, and get in the end zone for a touchdown. So you got the Chiefs in their nickel, and they're going to rush Nick Bolton. So they've got a 5-man rush here, and they're playing like man match concepts behind it. Again, no spy, nobody waiting on the quarterback. They're really relying on the defensive line to keep him contained. And again, like we've mentioned earlier, the culprit seems to be Jerry Tillery. He's getting moved off his spot too easily to vacate these lanes right up the middle. Chris Jones is facing a double team, and so, he gets moved off his spot a little bit, but actually anchors pretty decently against it. But look at Jerry Tillery just completely washed off his spot and creating this wide gap. It's just too easy. And this is, at this point, this has happened multiple times. One was the play where Chris Jones fell down. So part of it was, could have been just, but in any case, we've had Tillery once and now Tillery again and Jones once in the middle, just not able to hold position and prevent gaps from opening up the middle, especially on these crucial downs. And you see it here, Jones getting double teamed, but in general still holding his ground. But look at Tillery here on the other side. Tillery just gets completely washed out of his gap. And at that point, again, it's just a massive lane for Lawrence to run through. You can't do this when you have the second level that's playing a man match. They're not looking back at the quarterback. They're trying to match routes. The Chiefs just could not get this together and didn't seem to prioritize it until way too late. We've already had so many crucial plays here that were extended, drives extended or completed in this case because they're not able to contain Lawrence in the pocket. It's very frustrating that a team that was able to do this to Lamar Jackson couldn't get it together against Trevor Lawrence. We pick things up with 3:26 to go in the third quarter. It's a 14-14 game, and the Chiefs have a 3rd and goal at the Jaguars' 3-yard line. Mahomes is in the shotgun. He's got Noah Gray to the left and a 3-man bunch on the right. Kareem Hunt is in the backfield with him. Travis Kelce ends up coming in tight, or a little offset from tight. Mahomes drops back, and he throws an interception that we don't have to go through the whole thing, but is very well returned all the way back for a touchdown. Tyquan Thornton with a good effort here to come all the way back. And he tried to get this ball punched out right at the end, but wasn't able to. Also should say respect to Juju for getting all the way down the field there as well. But let's take a look at what happened here. So the Chiefs ran a concept that they run quite frequently, actually. What they're doing here is, so Tyquan Thornton is going to go back to the back line. They're going to have Juju run a slant over, and Travis Kelce is going to be a delay coming back behind. And what it looks like is that Mahomes reads this as man coverage. I mean, because what it looks like is a cover 0 blitz, right? And that's how Mahomes reads it. He sees man to man. And I think, especially with this defender walking with Kelce, Jaguars disguise it pretty well. And so what he thinks is happening here is that Thornton's coming to the post being followed by this guy. Juju is going to come in followed by this guy, Travis Hunter. And then Kelce is manned up against this guy. In reality, what the Jaguars are doing is they're actually double teaming Thornton down to the post. So they have 2 guys drop back. 1, 2. Kelce is manned up with just 1. And they let Juju release free because they're going to have both the linebacker and defensive tackle drop back into underneath zones. And watch the result here. So see I misidentified who's guarding who. These 2 double Thornton. He's got Kelce. So from Mahomes' perspective, that I feel like that decision was very smart, particularly having Hunter participate in the double. Because what it looks like is the Chiefs are trying to get a rub action here, right? With Thornton coming up, Hunter has to go around, and so that leaves Juju with an opportunity to get open. And that's kind of what it looks like is happening initially. When Mahomes is making this throw, that's what it looks like. He's reading the right. What does it look like is happening here? Travis Hunter is trying to get around and get to Juju. So he thinks, oh, I got Juju open here on the concept. And actually what's happened is Hunter is dropping back with Thornton, and you have the linebacker coming underneath to get any kind of crossing route. So it's not the kind of the man blitz that was anticipated. Instead, they actually just release Juju to the underneath defenders. And it's unfortunate, like, had Mahomes seen this, like, they could have, like, ad-libbed and tried to figure that, like, if Mahomes has a beat to allow Juju to cross or anything. But Mahomes is trying to make this a quick hitter. He thinks they've got the rub. Based on the man coverage read, he thinks that he's got him free release. He's expecting both of these guys to be rushing the passer and Juju to have a free release over the middle against the 0 pressure. Honestly, you hate to admit it when you have a great quarterback, but sometimes everybody gets got. Mahomes got. Like, they just outfoxed him on that play. It happens, They showed him a look. He thought he knew what he was seeing. They bailed out of it into something else, and they tricked him. They got him. It's unfortunate, a huge costly error from the Chiefs. Like, this is one of those where the Jaguars were just better on this play. And you see it here. So it's going to be these 2 that drop out. The defensive tackle and linebacker. They really sell the rush initially, and then drop out just in time to get there. Honestly, if Mahomes had waited half a second to throw this, he would have had the window in between the 2. But he's not looking for that at all. He's just trying to get it out quick because he thinks he's beaten the man coverage with the route combination. It's just, sometimes the other team does a good job and they get you, and that's what happened here. The Jaguars just got Mahomes. We're now at 1 second to go in the third quarter. The Chiefs are down 21-14, and they have a 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line of Jacksonville. The Chiefs are in the shotgun. We've got Pacheco to Mahomes' right. 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Mahomes takes the snap, hands to Pacheco running left. He gets about 7 yards, but there's a flag on the play for holding, which ends up setting the Chiefs back, going from a possible 2nd and 3 to a 1st and 19. And if you see here, this is a simple zone run here, and the culprit was Kingsley Suamataia. So we're going to take a look at that from the end zone view. And if you notice right before the snap, Josh Hines-Allen shifts inside. Right there. Right at the snap. And I think it kind of messed with Kingsley's attack point. He was ready. Hines-Allen switches and Kingsley gets to him and immediately is not able to, he looks like he's trying to keep him, move him to Kingsley's right. He's not able to, and right here, this is where people really make mistakes when talking about holding. It's not the act of holding the jersey that is a hold. That's not the problem. It's the actual restricting of somebody moving by holding them. So, when people have a grab of each other's pads, which they do often, and I think a little too much is made of whether things are inside or outside the frame of the body, it doesn't really matter depending on whether you're restricting them with the hold. So here, grabbing his pad's not a problem. Here, as Hines-Allen is clearly trying to pull away and go that way, the fact that you are restricting him by holding him is what the penalty is. So it's not the fact that he has his jersey, it's that he's pulling the jersey and not allowing Hines-Allen to go where he wants to go. It's that material restriction here. And so here he ends up being called for a penalty. And, I've always felt it's frustrated me. The run play hold is such a low benefit, high negative play. The idea of losing 10 yards because you wanted to hold someone, whereas if you didn't hold them, it would be no gain or a loss of 1. It just seems like one of those situations where the run play hold is often very frustrating. The pass play hold you get a little bit more because you're trying to avoid a sack, which is a negative play in its own. So you'll give up 10 yards in order to avoid a sack. But giving up 10 yards to avoid a 1 yard loss doesn't seem to make as much sense. This ended up being the catalyst that stalled this drive, and the Chiefs ended up punting from around midfield, which unfortunately was a common thing for them in this game, which is not good. Andy had been a lot better at making good 4th down decisions, but during this game he was pretty conservative with his around midfield punting, which was another thing that helped contribute to this loss. We jump ahead to 1:01 to go in the 4th quarter. The Chiefs are up 28-24. The Jaguars have a 3rd and 7 at their own 43-yard line. Trevor Lawrence is in the shotgun. He's got trips to the left. One on the right is Brian Thomas Jr., the tight end, then motions from left to right to make it a 2-by-2 formation. Lawrence takes the snap. He throws deep down the right sideline and completes it to Brian Thomas Jr. for a gain of 33. A field tilting play and getting out of that jam on 3rd and long. All right, so what's going on this play? The Jaguars are 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end, and then they've got 2 wide receivers to the left, Brian Thomas Jr. over to the right. They motion the tight end over, so they end up in 2-by-2. The Chiefs are in their dime, meaning they have 6 defensive backs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're actually playing a 3-2-6 dime, which means that they've got 2 linebackers on the field, Bolton and Chanel, and only 3 defensive linemen. So what they end up doing is they end up blitzing 5. So both linebackers come. So they have a blitz, and they run a man match concept that really does a good job of mitigating the Jaguars' route combination. So the Jaguars are going in breaking. They've got the drag, and they're really running mesh here. So this 84's job is to pick off a defender to try to make this drag route come open. However, what ends up happening is the Chiefs, they pass these routes off so nicely. They don't have somebody run with the underneath guy, so he can't get picked. Instead, they have the safety crash down on the drag from depth. They then, even this route gets passed off. If you see Noah Williams running, and then he comes back to help with the drag, and then they pass off this route. So the secondary is really on top of everything here. One thing I will say that was different in this game compared to the Ravens game is the Jaguars did a great job of handling pressure from the Chiefs. The Chiefs tried to bring an extra guy. They didn't have any free rushers that I can remember through this night. Everything was blocked up pretty well. Running backs did a good job picking up in pass protection. The blitzes weren't fooling the Jaguars the way that they were to the Ravens the week before. But really, everything is set up nicely. These 2 routes are coming across. You got the pick guy over here, and Brian Thomas Jr. is just running his go route one-on-one with Jalen Watson. One thing is, you got Connor in the middle of the field, and he wasn't quite able to get over there, but Watson has good coverage, and honestly, Watson normally makes this play. It's just here, look how early he jumps. He jumps and tries to hang. But if he had timed this jump just a little bit later, Watson does this well normally. I think he would have knocked this ball down. It's really unfortunate. It's just a matter of inches, but he normally, he gets up and does a great job of swatting these, but he just jumps a hair early, it looks like. And if he had just waited a beat before he jumps, probably knocks this ball down. It's really unfortunate because he's really, this is his strong suit in a way that it's not for Trent McDuffie. I feel like the number of times you see Jalen Watson just swatting one away, he's normally pretty good in this situation, and he has good coverage here. It's just unfortunate he wasn't able to get it done. That would have been a huge play. Would have forced a 4th and 7 with a chance for the Chiefs to end this game. It's a little harder to see from this angle because you don't have the depth perception about the early jump, but it's a good coverage from Watson. It's just unfortunate he wasn't able to time it right to get the ball out, especially because he's a guy that does that normally. And, not a lot of things went right in a lot of these key situations for the Chiefs down the stretch. All right, 38 seconds now to go in the 4th quarter. Chiefs up 28-24, and the Jaguars have a 3rd and 13 at about the 14-yard line. Trevor Lawrence is in the shotgun. He's got 2 to his left, 2 to his right. He takes the snap, drops back, gets pressure from his right side, throws left. The ball's actually intercepted, but a flag is thrown for pass interference on Shamari Connor. So what we've got here, we've got the Jaguars, again, look to be an 11 personnel with 1 running back and 1 tight end. And to play this, the Chiefs appear to, again, be in dime. Well, no, this is just nickel, actually. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive backs. And here are your 2 linebackers, and you've got 4 defensive linemen. So this is just a standard nickel. And the Chiefs play this pretty straight up. They're going to blitz and then just play man coverage behind it with Brian Cook being the deep safety. And so the Jaguars kind of run a smash concept, a short route, and then the corner route. And over here, they're kind of running a pick. They're running interference here and then trying to get the drag to go underneath. And really on the right side, it works pretty well. See, they get McDuffie picked off and Diami Brown running the drag. But this is 3rd and 13, so the Chiefs don't mind that. They've got Cook ready to come underneath and make a play here. What Lawrence is looking for is the route that goes to the end zone, and they have the matchup they want. They've got Brian Thomas Jr. isolated on Shamari Connor, who actually plays the corner out pretty well, but unfortunately for him, this ball is underthrown. And Connor is running after Brian Thomas Jr., doesn't get his head around. It's probably one of the most difficult things in football. Being a defensive back is very difficult in general, but trying to defend an underthrown ball as a defensive back in trail technique, you're doing everything right. The receiver just stops and you run right through him. And Connor also wraps his arm around. It's clearly a penalty, unfortunately. It's a thankless situation. But again, Connor, the one thing with the Chiefs defensive backs, not a lot of ball skills. And Connor here just is unable to recognize the ball coming, get his head around, make any kind of play on the ball. And he's not able to avoid running through Brian Thomas Jr. So what could have been a big stop here, if not the interception, even just an incompletion, if he's able to do anything to indicate he's making a play on the ball rather than throwing his arm right in front of and restricting Brian Thomas Jr., he might be able to avoid the penalty. But he's not able to play the ball. This ends up being a pass interference that leads to the ball at the 1 yard line. Another crucial mistake from the Chiefs and giving the Jaguars even more life. And now we've got 1st and goal at the 1 yard line with 30 seconds left. Chiefs are up 28-24. Trevor Lawrence is under center. He's got 2 to the left, 2 to the right, sends Hunter in motion. Guard steps on his leg. He falls over twice and somehow manages to get up and scramble left for a touchdown that ends up being the game-winning touchdown. Honestly, what do you even say about this play? First of all, it's just fitting that the Chiefs blitzed from the right and Lawrence gets up and goes left. Charles Omenihu, the one guy really on the left, they only have one guy over there and he gets knocked down. It's just amazing to me that Lawrence falls down, tries to get up, falls down again, and nobody is able to, you gotta credit the offensive line here. That he has the ability to fall down, get up, fall down, and nobody is on him at this point. That is so hard to swallow as a Chiefs fan. It's just, I can't believe it that he tripped, fell, and the Jaguars offensive line played a really good game and the Chiefs were not able to solve them for most of the night. And then when they did get over here, you'd think Tranquil is heading toward him. Tillery actually heads Tranquil off. Knocks Tranquil away from having a chance to make the play, and then Tillery can't make the play either. And Lawrence goes in the end zone. This is just unbelievable from a Chiefs perspective. The shift gets everyone over to the right, and Tillery again is the other person. It's Hicks. Don't you have the awareness here that he's on the ground? Someone like Hicks, if you just when the guard shoots over, if you just shoot the gap, do anything. The quarterback's on the ground. Somebody just get down there and touch him. Anything. It's just, fitting way to end this game for the Chiefs. It's hard to believe all the things that happened in this game. Just the Chiefs weren't on their game and they made too many mistakes, and yes, if one or two things had gone differently they would have won this game, but gosh, that's a lot of mistakes to make in a game, and we didn't even cover every single one of them. what was it, 13 or 14 penalties. Just a really poor showing by the Chiefs, an undisciplined showing. But the good news is that we've seen things like this before, and hopefully they can get it cleaned up and get back into playing the way that we're used to seeing them play.